Okay, hello and welcome. So we had quite a few more than this registered for today's session, so I'm going to start very slowly. You know how it is. I do this so often myself. You decide to yourself, I'll just go make a cuppa before it starts, and then you come back and realize, oh, I'm late. I've done that so many times. Anyway, if you do need to join audio or anything like that, I'm just going to be circling a couple of these things just in case. And we will get started eventually. Yeah, that was starting to look better. Okay. Before we do begin, we will take a moment to acknowledge the original owners of country throughout Australia and its collection of surrounding islands. I'm coming to you from the lands of the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation, and I myself have connection to the Awabakal people. I will note today the news that we've been hearing about mob in remote areas and the issues they're having with COVID. So send thoughts to those people, and we will recognise that these lands were never ceded, that sovereignty was never extinguished, and we will pay respects to elders, whether they be past, present, or future. Okay, before we do begin, I will just let you know I can't get my webcam working today. I don't know what's going on, but I don't think I'm going to bother with it. We're here to learn about class anyway. Now, just a little bit of housekeeping. So this software won't let you unmute yourself. So if you do have a question, please submit it in the question section of your control panel. Just let you know we are recording this and we will endeavour to have this on our website by the end of the week. If you want to know where, or if you want the link, just let us know at the help desk. I will be showing people how to contact us at the help desk at the end of this session. Okay, we've got a quick question for you before we do start. Hopefully, we will get that one online any second now. Let me see. There it is. Okay, so what level of experience do you have with running reports in class? If you want to, feel free to pop an answer in there for us. So this will just be this will just be a little bit interesting. How many votes we got? Not that many. Okay. What are we seeing? Okay. Yeah. So not really anyone who's had a ton of experience, which is kind of a good thing, really. Okay, 2/3 of people have now voted. Yeah. There we go. There's the results. Yeah, so of the 2/3 of the people with us today, 50% have no experience at all. That is kind of a good thing. We will start from the start, which we were planning to do anyway. There we go. Okay, there we go. Great. So today we're looking at reports in class. So how to get data from class. So this is kind of not really the basic stuff. For some people, they simply sit and enter data into class. For some others, we have to then get that data out of class and report it to our funding bodies, or even, we can use these things just for our own purposes if we want to. So a lot of this is dependent on roles, but I'll come back to that. So this is not the basic stuff. So if you're new to class, this may not be the training session for you. Okay. Now, a quick overview of the session. So we'll do an introduction to class reports. We'll have a look at some of the reports that count up client numbers, and then the reports that count up service numbers, some of the Nlap reports. Then we'll get into some of the more interesting things like telling stories with data and heat mapping. And don't worry if you don't know what those phrases mean. We will go through it and I will show you what they mean. A few more things, quick things before we wind up. Okay, so an introduction to class reports. So these do depend on roles. So your class account will have a role set for it, and the reports are usually only available to the admin role or the advanced admin role. There are also add-ons for the roles, so you can have like a general user role or even a volunteer role and still be able to use the reports if someone gives you that there is actually several add-ons you can be given. So if you can't see the reports, if you can't see what I'm seeing in class, you may need to contact your class administrator at your center and ask them if they can upgrade your role for you. Now, a few notes for you before I even get onto the naming conventions and cheat codes, which I will come back to. We always say that your first port of call whenever you're looking for data in class should be standard reports. So often, and I do this myself so often, I've gotten used to the reports, I know how they work, so often I just kind of decide I'll just dive into a DIY and put something together. If you can get the data out of a standard report, do it, because they're much easier to use than DIY reports. That does limit their functionality, but we can use the standard reports for some pretty interesting things, which we will see today. Okay, all right. Now, what else do I need to tell you about? That's good. Okay, all right. So we can move on to naming conventions and cheat codes. All right, that's exactly where I was at. Okay, so now I'm going to flick over to class and we'll have a look at the list of reports. Okay. Here's class. I'm already logged in. Now, if I have a look down here, I see class, community, reports, blah, blah, blah. If you don't see this, this is the thing I was talking about to do with roles. You may need to contact your class administrator if you aren't seeing these things. Anyway, I'm going to click on reports, and then here we get reports and accountability. We aren't looking at accountability today. We will be looking at that in 2 weeks, and we won't be looking at the DIY reports today. We will be doing that next week, which will wrap up a nice little set of training sessions for you on reports and accountability. Okay, so when I click on reports, I get the list of reports, and I can see down here in the bottom there's 2 pages and 64 items. That means there are 64 reports. Now, don't freak out about that. No one needs to know all of these reports and how they work. You only need to know the functionality in them, and then you'll know how they work and what kind of data you can get, especially once I take you through these naming conventions. That will clear up a lot of things for you as well. So the naming convention basically is that most of the reports and all of the standard reports, see, I will just bring your attention to this column here, format. So I've got the standard reports. I'm just going to scroll down, and as we get down, we've also got the drill down reports. We won't be looking at those, as I was just saying. We're looking at standard reports today. Okay, so here's the naming convention. They will all start with the letter of the alphabet and then have a number. And the letters of the alphabet all stand for something. So taking you through these, the C reports are client reports. So these will be counts of your client numbers. Then we've got the D reports. That is, what does DIPT, which is Data Informed Planning Toolkit reports. From what I know, these don't work great, so we're not recommending those reports right now. But if you do need a hand with any of that stuff, you can come to us on the help desk. We've also got the M reports. M stands for management. Now this has to do with accountability. So for anyone who works in accountability, you can get information and you can get data about your accountability stats, your accountability data. You can get that from these reports. If you don't work on accountability, you probably want to just ignore those reports then. Then we've got the N reports. N stands for NPA. We're probably going to change that to Nlap. These are reports that will give you data specifically aimed at answering the Nlap agreements and the things that you need to report for Nlap. And we'll have a look at one of those later on. We've got the S reports, and these are for services. These will count these will count the number of services. Okay, we've also got one or two other, I'll just take you through the PT01. There's one of those reports, PT. The 01 report is the only one. It will give you your top 20 problem types. That's a drill down report, so we might look at that one next week. So that's kind of the naming convention, just scrolling back to the top. I did say I was going to take you through a cheat code, which I'm going to do right now. When looking at these reports, there are two of these reports, the standard reports, which are the most commonly used reports. I'm just going to do a really quick little thing here. I'm going to check. Okay, so that brought it down from 63 to 45. So we've got 45 standard reports. And of those 45 reports, there are two you probably want to remember. These are the most often used ones. So the C03 is the first of them, and your cheat code is this. C is the third letter of the alphabet. So when thinking about the client reports, you want the C03. That's the one we recommend. The C01 will give you good data as well. We recommend the C03. Try that report. That should work for you. The other one is your service report. Report counts for services, and you're looking for the S01. Why the S01? Well, S is, I don't know, it's about number 20 in the alphabet or something, whatever it is. That wouldn't make a lot of sense, so we just made it S01. So that's the one you want to remember, S01. The other one is C03. So there's your naming convention, there's your cheat codes, and a few notes on the reports for you. Okay, so let's have a look at the client reports. So this will give you counts of data for your clients. Okay, let's go and have a quick look at it. So I will open this client report, the C03 report, and this will be potentially for some of you the first look at a class report and what they look like. This is what they look like. This is what the standard reports will all look like. And we'll have a look at what it looks like after we get some data into it. Now, how do we do that? Well, we've got the filter panel here kind of towards the left, in the middle sort of thing, and then the big main panel here, that is where the data will load. Now, for all of these reports, whether they be standard, drill down, or DIY, we need to tell class what data we're looking for. You will need to give it a date range. All of the reports need a date range. If you want to run all the data for the entire center, you could do something like 01 1970, which is about when our sector started, or something like that. And then your end date you could set. So if you click on that little arrow, you get, so there's the two ways to enter. There's actually three ways to enter these dates into your filter panel. You can type them as I just did, and then you can click this little arrow. Will give you your date picker, and you can move back and forth through it, and you can pick your date, whatever you want, or the easy way is to click this button, today. That will just select today's date, which is nice and easy. Okay, so we've got our date range in there. Next thing we need is to tell the report which funding categories we want data for. So again, if I click that little arrow, we get the pop-up box with all of our funding codes. And this is a good time to stop and let you know, because this will probably look quite different to what your instance of class looks like. So I'm just going to take a moment to give you one more little note. That is that I'm logged into the CLC's Australia instance of class, as you can see up here in the top right. And we don't actually have any clients, so we don't have any data. All the data you're seeing today is all dummy data that we enter in only for demonstration, testing, and training purposes. Now, coming back to these funding categories, you can select certain funding categories if you want. If you're looking for bush, data just for your bushfire funding, you could do that. Most often, this is what I do, is what I'm going to do in a minute. And I suspect a lot of people around the sector do this as well. If you just want to select all funding categories, you can just tick this box next to where it says name. That's the name of the funding category. Tick that, that will just select all of them. You can just click out of there to close that box. And that will select all the funding categories for you. Now I'm going to come back to the catchment and demographic bits a bit later. I'm going to load that data into that report and we'll see what it looks like. And here is our data. Now, the first thing you will notice is that it's a bit small. So I will take you through some of these buttons and bits of functionality that we have up the top here. So this one here is in the middle. This bit in the middle is where we can change the size of the data of the report we've got. We can zoom out. Don't know why you want to do that. You can zoom in, or you can just click that arrow and pick something that makes sense to you. Page width is often a good one. Okay, so once the reports do load, these standard reports all have the same layout. And I'll take you through what it is just really quickly. You get the name of the report up the top, and then you get your filters. So it'll give you your date range, it'll list that, it'll list the funding categories you selected, the catchment I'm going to come back to, but it will list the catchment you've got and the centres, it will list the centre name. And then we get this box here for this report. It's giving us our demographics, and again, that's to do with this thing here in the filter panel, and I'm going to come back to that later as well. And here's our data below that. So here's our data. Okay, for all time, I'm actually going to bump that up even more so we can see some of that data. There we go. Okay, so for all time, CLCs Australia has had 238 clients. Yeah, again, dummy data. So this report then breaks it down by the demographics, as I was saying, and I will come back to this again later. So by gender, age groups, people experiencing financial disadvantage, and then their income levels, and then disability and or mental illness, Indigenous Australians, culturally and linguistically diverse Australians, DV, and then outer regional and remote clients, and homelessness. Okay, so that's a basic look at this report, the client count report. We'll be having a look at this again later. So I might move on in just a minute, but there's one more note on this for you. Here's my slide, a note on services. So this is counted, the way that this report counts how many clients there are is it counts how many services have been delivered. And then if a client has had a service, then they get counted as a client. But what I need to tell you is that not all of the services, not all the clients who've had a service will be in here. This report is not counting your information services, your referral services, or anything sitting in the triage list. So there's a quick note on that. If you wanted that data, you can get it. You can reproduce all of these reports with DIY reports, and we'll be looking at that next week, as I said previously. Okay, I think I'm probably about ready to move on. I'm not seeing anything in the chat where I'm just going to have a really quick look. Okay, there's a couple of questions in there. So this might be a good time to stop and introduce our facilitator today. Our facilitator for today, which I really should have done earlier. Apologies for that. That's a bit rude of me. Anyway, Alex Ariti from the ICT team at CLCs Australia is facilitating for us today. So I might throw to Alex just really quickly to go through some of these questions.
Hello. At the moment, we don't have any questions for you, Sam. But if anybody does, please don't hesitate to pop one in the question box. If you would like to ask your question live, you can just let me know by pressing the raise hand button, and I can take you off mute so you can ask Sam your question directly.
Thank you very much, Alex. Moving on then, that was great. Okay, service reports. Let's go and have a look at that service report that I showed you. Just one more quick note. We could have a look at some of those other client reports, but they're all kind of the same. And the name of the report kind of tells you what it is. Clients by priority group, if that's what you want to see, if that's the data you need. Clients by geographical area. I'm actually going to show you how to do that a bit later. Or you could use that report if you wanted to. Clients by law type, if that was what you wanted to do, you could have a look at that report. Okay. So there are a bunch of other reports that we could look at, but they've all got the same format. And if you are looking for specific data, check the name of the report. You may find it. Okay, I'll show you the service report, the S01, and the kind of data we can get in this report. Okay, this time I'm just going to load in, what's today, the 23rd? I'm going to load in about 12 months worth of data. Why not? I'm just going through this really quickly, selecting my date range and funding categories, and then I'm going to load data into this report, and we will see what it gives us. Once it is created, it does do a lot of counting up class when it's doing this, so it can take a little while. Okay, so this is the S01 report, services for individuals, the count. So this one will give you your information referral counts. It's not going to give you a count of triage because why would it? Anyway, so it also gives you numbers for clients. Now, we get a lot of questions of people saying to us, these don't add up. There are very specific counting rules on how it counts these, and I'll show you that later. I may even actually make a note for myself to do that. Where am I? S01, client numbers, yeah, I'll do that later. Okay. All right, I'll show you where to find all the information about all of these reports. Actually, I will do that later. As for this one, it once you've gotten past the clients, it then gives you counts for the numbers of services that your centre has done. So it'll give you all the informations, the referrals, the advices, the tasks, all of your discrete services, and then it'll give you your facilitator resolution process services, duty lawyer, how many, we got 0 in there, and then it will give you your ongoing or representation services. We will be changing this report and kind of most of the reports pretty soon. We'll be adding the ongoing legal support services to all of these reports, so you will see a new column in here for that coming up soon. And this tells you how many of your rep services were already open at the start of the reporting period, how many were opened during the date range, and how many were closed during the date range. Again, ignore our numbers, they're just dummy numbers. So this is basically the S01 report and what it looks like. I will show you one more piece of functionality now. So we've got the catchment here. I'll take you through this, the catchment. So if we click that, you can expand it or collapse it, whatever. If you don't want to look at it, you don't have to. So what this does is that it can aggregate the data in different ways. I'll show you what it does. So you can get the data for all of the data for the entire center, but you might have different office locations. I know a lot of centers do. If so, you can get the data for just a particular office location. You want to see how many services the central office has done, how many whichever office location has done, you can do that. But outreaches, if you want to see how many services being done in your outreaches, you can do that. What I will show you is this one, aggregate by administrative boundary. Now, this will show you, this is probably not really, oh no, this will work. There's a whole bunch of different ways to do this. So you can see the data, instead of for the entire center, you can see it broken down by a whole bunch of different things. By suburbs, postcodes, statistical areas. If you don't know what they are, good. You probably don't want to know. I'm not trying to hurt your brain too much today, so I'm not going to explain what these are. They come from the Australian Bureau of Statistics, just so you know. If you do know what they are, you don't need me to explain that. You can break down the data by LGA, state electoral divisions, Commonwealth electoral divisions, Indigenous locations, all kinds of things, remoteness areas. I'll show you the suburb. So I'll click aggregated by administrative boundary. The boundary type is suburb. I'll load the report again, or reload the report, and here we are. I'll make that bigger. And we can see all the data broken down by the suburbs. This is probably a pretty familiar one for everyone. We had one existing client, and there's the numbers for all of that data. One existing client, one court tribunal service for that suburb opened at the start. There's the rest of the data. Okay, so there's one more piece of functionality for you, the catchment. Okay, let me see. Yeah, that's pretty much it for that. I'm not seeing any other questions either, so I might just move on. The Nlap reports, okay. So let's have a look at that report I mentioned earlier. Come on. Actually, I don't think I did. I'm already scrolled to the top, and I'm trying to scroll further. Anyway. Okay, so here are the N reports or Nlap reports. We need to change the names of these. We'll probably get to that hopefully pretty soon. Okay, so I'll show you this one. So this is the Npa Performance Benchmark. So as part of the Nlap agreement, I'll I'll just open it and show you what it does. This will give you counts for the data that you need to report. I'll load in 12 months worth of data. The data that you need to report for your Nlap agreement with the government. So I'll just load that. I'm not going to worry about the catchment. I've already shown you that. And this is what we see. I'll bring that up to page width so we can see what's in here. This is what it gives us. The number of representation services delivered to people experiencing financial disadvantage. So it will then give you the percentage because I'm sure you are all well aware. A certain percentage of your services. Actually, I'm not sure if this is still a completely formal requirement under the Nlap anymore. I know it was under the Npa. I do know, I had a quick look at the Nlap agreement this morning, and I couldn't really find the exact percentage it's supposed to be, but we're, you know, all centres are supposed to be delivering the majority of their services to people experiencing financial disadvantage, and as you can see, we're doing 100%, so good for us. Okay, all jokes aside, this is basically the N01, the Npa Performance Benchmark report. This is it and what it looks like and what it does. Looks like all the other reports. Okay. I'm not seeing any other questions either. That was a pretty brief look at the N reports, but if you want to, please do go and have a look at these other reports and explore them. If you do need help with data, you can throw a question into your control panel right now, or you can always get to us at the help desk, and I will be showing you how to do that later on, just for anyone who isn't aware. As for now, I may move on. Okay. I'm kind of glad I said that because now we're getting to the fun stuff. Now, telling stories with data. So this is about telling people about the work that you do. Now, basically everything we've seen before is kind of the boring stuff when it comes to reports. We can get hard numbers out, we can get straight numbers straight out of class and send them straight over to our funding bodies. Very often we are required to do that, but more and more often people aren't satisfied with that anymore. I'm hearing more and more that people want to know more about the work that you're doing. They want to know what the work that you do accomplishes. And we can actually do some of that with these reports that we've just seen. So I'll show you how to do that. And again, please don't freak out about some of this stuff. Some of this is kind of a little bit tricky, but this is kind of the more fun stuff. So let's go and have a look at it. Okay. So here's our list of reports. I'm going to jump back into the C03 report. And we're going to see if we can find any interesting stories out of this report. So now I'm going to show you this piece of functionality within this report, the demographic information. That's not going to be in all of the reports, but it is in this client report. So if you do see it and you want to do these kinds of things, please try and find this section, the demographic section. I think it's in the client reports because, more and more often I'm hearing people saying that they want to know that people like funding bodies are more interested in, they're less interested in raw numbers and they're more interested in what we're actually accomplishing. So using this piece of functionality in the reports here, this demographic thing, we can do some of that. So let's go and have a look. I'm going to scroll down. Now I was talking about financial disadvantage before. So I'm going to set this financial disadvantage to yes. Now before I reload this report, I'm just going to have a look. We had 238 clients. Okay, so I've just set financial disadvantage to yes, and I'm going to reload the report. So if I look here, 135, okay, I'll bring it up again, and we will see 135. I still need to make that bigger. 135 clients, as I was saying before. Okay, so we've got 135 clients who were experiencing disadvantage. You may realize that there are some there are some large disparities between the numbers in some of these reports that you're seeing. Again, it's just dummy data. Please ignore that. And if you do want help understanding the data that you're getting out of class, again, please come to us at the help desk and we will try and help you out with that. Okay, so what can we do with these numbers that we've got here? So we're saying we've got 135 clients who are experiencing financial disadvantage. If I scroll across, I can see that of those 135 people, almost 70 of them were also homeless. So there's a kind of a bit of an interesting story we're telling there. And then of those 70 clients, 57 of them were also, no, sorry, I need to add the 57 and the 49 together to get the number of people who are experiencing DV. Now, that's a much more interesting story to tell. Again, these are dummy numbers, so we're not telling any stories, but you can do this with your real data. Of 135, kind of almost all of them here were experiencing these kinds of things. So there's kind of a couple of interesting stories we can tell there. I'll show you one more. I'll try and find another interesting story out of this data. I'm just going to set that back to any. That's kind of setting it back to the base level, the default setting. I'm going to come down. I'm going to have a look at Indigenous Australians and click yes on that, and then I'm going to reload the report, and we'll see what kind of numbers that gives us. 159%, right? 150%. Okay. So we've got 13 Indigenous clients. Okay, not particularly interesting. Now, of those 13 Indigenous clients, 12 of those were experiencing financial disadvantage. There's an interesting story in my mind anyway. And this is the kind of thing that we can do with these reports. It's kind of not that difficult. It's not that tricky, just a couple of clicks, and we're already telling some kind of interesting stories. Now, if I just scroll across, how many are there? 13. So of those 13 people, more than half of them were experiencing homelessness as well. And we're seeing that 10 of them don't live in out of regional or remote areas. So that's, I don't know if that's an interesting story or not. I just thought I'd point that out. Okay, so that's kind of what we can do with some of these reports, and how we can tell some stories with the data that we get out of these reports. Now, I can't remember how long we had scheduled this training session for, but we may be able to hand some of your time back to you today. We always like to do that if possible. Anyway, we're going okay. I'm not seeing any other questions, so I might move on. The next thing will take me a little while because it is a bit tricky. Yeah, but we might be around 60 minutes, maybe a bit longer than that. We'll wait and see, but hopefully we might be able to hand some of your time back to you today. All right, so that's it's kind of a pretty quick look at telling stories with data, but if you do want help with it, again, come to us at the help desk. We can help you with that. We get lots of questions about reports on the help desk all the time. They're coming to us all the time, so please jump in and ask questions to us at the help desk if you need to. We always say if it's going to take you half an hour to figure something out, but you think it'll take us 5 minutes, then send your question. If it's going to take you 30 seconds to write up a question, send it to us, and we'll, that's just being a bit more efficient, isn't it? That's just going to save everyone a bit of time. Okay. Here we go. This is the fun thing, heat mapping. Now, if you don't know National Map, if this is your first look at it today, this is the fun stuff. This is the bit I've been waiting all day for, to be honest with you. Okay, so National Map. I'll show you what it does. Now, no, I will take you through the process of setting this whole thing up because this is a bit tricky. It's a bit of a 3-step process. So step 1, dive into class. Now, I've got the C03 report here. Now, what I want to do as step 1 is export some of this data. So this is showing you a bit more functionality in class as well. We can export this data out of class. And some of those reports give you different file formats that you can export to. This is kind of the biggest list, or one of the biggest lists that you'll see. You can export it as a PDF, an image, HTML file if you want to add it to your website. Text file, I don't know why you would do that. Word doc, and then these are spreadsheets, obviously, which is probably a pretty good choice and probably a pretty obvious choice. Now, if you do want to export to a spreadsheet, we always recommend exporting to CSV rather than XLS or XLSX. Geez, that's a mouthful. Anyway, now, there's a couple of reasons to export to CSV, and if you don't know what a CSV file is, it stands for comma separated values. as soon as you download this to your computer and then open that file, it will just open in Excel. Now, the reason you would do that, there's a couple of reasons. The first one is that the file weight is just a little bit smaller, so just a little bit less sitting on your hard drive. And the other reason is that they actually format a bit nicer in Excel once you open these files as CSVs rather than these file formats. Feel free to download them as those file formats if you like. We recommend using CSV. I could click there, but I don't actually need to. I'm just showing you. This is step one, download some data. Now what I'm going to do is show you that data, and here it is. Now, for anyone who has seen what an export of data from class looks like before, you will realize that this is not it. So you'll get a whole heap of stuff in here. Now, step two of this process for heat mapping is to format this file, and this gets tricky. Now we had this is where the real trick comes in. We had someone come to us to the help desk and ask us to do this for them not too long ago. I dived straight onto that ticket because that's kind of one of the more fun help desk tickets for me. So if you do want help formatting your data so that you can create a heat map, and we'll see one of those in just a minute. Yep, definitely come to us at the help desk. We have done it for others before. Now, essentially, I won't tell you exactly how it works, but basically what you need to do is you need to remove everything that this piece of software that we're going to see in a minute can't map. If you can't put it on a map, it can't be in the file. That's the basic rule. There's another one. Yeah, you need these codes depending on what kind of data you've got. We've got suburbs here. So this code is suburb name. That's a little code. There is a place to find them. I was just looking for it this morning and I can't find it. I used to be able to, and this is the first time I wasn't able to find it. So it looks like they've changed something. So I'm going to try and find it. And when I do, I will take a copy of the link. So if people need it, we will be able to pass that on if you want to do this yourself. The only other piece of data this needs is the number. This is the actual data, and we're looking for the total number of clients in each suburb. Okay, so this is our file and what it looks like. Once we've got it formatted, then we'll go back to Chrome. I'm going to open a new tab and I'm going to do a search for national map. I've already done that today, and here's our, you can see I've already clicked on it. Don't worry about the images. I'll click on that and open up national map. Now, for any of you that are seeing this for the first time, once it loads, this is what it looks like. There we go. I can't believe that actually worked. Now, I don't know what this is. I'm just getting rid of it. Go away. So as we can see, we've got a map, and what we can do with it is we can add our data to it to generate a heat map, and I'm sure you probably know what a heat map is. So let's go and have a look at how we do this. I'm going to click this upload button to upload some data to this map. Now, I want to add local data, not web data. I want to add local data because I've got the file on my hard drive. You want to leave this as auto detect the file type. You can change it if you want, but I highly recommend just leaving that on auto detect, and then you just choose your file. Now, I've got mine there. I've already tested this one. I'm going to click open. Once you do that, you will see this. Now, what you may see is something saying your file's not right. There are things in this file that we can't map. If you get that, you can come to us to help, for help. Otherwise, it will tell you what it can't map, so you can go through your file and remove it or edit it and do whatever you need to do to get your file into a format that will end up looking like this. It's telling us this is going to upload the data to this map. Once we're done, we just click done, and that will upload the data. And as you can see, we can already see little bits of heat on this map. I just want to show you really quickly, this won't take long. This bit over here, so it's telling us the name of our file, and this is the key that we're looking at. So obviously as it gets more red, we've got more clients in those areas. So I'm just going to zoom. There we go. I will show you, I'll drag that up there. We can also zoom using this. Zoom in, please. And I'm coming over this side. I could have gone over to Western Australia, but I'll come in here. Okay, there we go. We're seeing a bit of heat in there. There we go. There's our heat map working. Obviously not super impressive, but this is just a demonstration, and this is basically how it works. Now, a couple other things that we can do with this as well. I think they changed this. I don't really like the way that this looks, or maybe I've changed this. Yeah, I think I changed it. I think the regular map looks like that. Yeah, when I loaded it up this morning, that's what it looked like. I didn't really like that. So if you come to your map settings, you can choose whatever kind of map you like. I don't mind that. I don't dislike it. I don't really like that. So you can get this into whatever format you like. I wouldn't use that myself personally. I wouldn't use that. This one, I wouldn't use that either, but use whatever you like. That's the one I like. I also don't mind this one. I've just realized, yeah, I quite like that. Anyway, I'll close that so that we don't have to look at it. You can also look at it through 3D terrain. Let me just check. Yep, there, that should be fine. I don't think I would be using this, but it's up to you if you want to. I think it was like that when I loaded it this morning. That hurts my eyes. I'm going to put it on 2D, and then I'm going to put it on that, and that is something that I much more like. Okay, I'll close that. I'm going to zoom in just a little bit more. Okay, so the next thing I want to show you is how you can actually compare data. So you could upload two sets of data. Maybe this could be here we go. This could be the 2020 and 2021 financial year, and then you could upload another file for your 2019 and 2020 financial year, and then compare them if you wanted to, and I'll show you how in just a minute. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add some more data just for demonstration purposes. If I click on add web data, how did I do this morning? The data catalog, that's what I want. So if I come into the data catalog, you can see we've got heaps of data, and I've just realized I completely forgot to explain exactly what national map is. So just let me pause for a moment and explain this to you. This is something that maybe not everyone knows about, and that may be partly intentional. We don't know, and I'm not making any accusations. Please don't quote me on that. National Map exists because the government is required by legislation to publish its data publicly. So this is what they did. They created this, which is a tool that we at CLCs Australia love. We think it's a great tool, and they dump their data in here. This is where they publish it. And there's a bunch of data in here. So if I close the national data sets, we've got data.gov.au, and then all the states and territories, we've got heaps of data in here. There's just tons of it. Now, I did some of this morning. That's not what I want. Not the national data sets, data.gov.au. This might take a little while to load. I should have clicked on that a long time ago. Sorry about that. Or I should have been explaining that that thing I just explained while I was waiting for this to load. What else can I tell you about national map while I am waiting for this to load? I don't know. Come on, please. Oh no, that's not good. Come on, work. What can I? There we go. Yes, thank you. All right, now, as we can see, heaps and heaps of data in here. Now, one that I often use just for demonstration purposes, I think there is some legal sector data in here. I'm not sure. Like, there's so much of it. I haven't had a good look at it. I often just use the ATO data. I'm just going to use this most recent piece of data. As we can see, the data is not completely up to date. Anyway, I'm just going to select that and add it to the map. And where is it? Why did that not work? Come on. No data. Oh, come on. Hurry up. Let me try it again. Apologies for this. Hurry up and work, please. It worked this morning. I swear it. Why don't I try that one? Okay. Add to the map. What if I do that? There we go. There we go. Okay, done. There we go. Okay, great. Now, as you can see, that's gone over the top of the data that we had in there, but never mind. I'm going to bring your attention back to the left again. So we've got the ATO data there. Now, if I click this, that will minimize that. And we've got our data there, and there's that one minimized. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this piece of functionality here. I'm going to compare the data. Click there, and then we're going to put the ATO data on the left. There it is. Now, what I can do is zoom in a bit. There we go. And I can use this here. You can get it out of the way if you need it, and scroll over. And as you can see, that's kind of the same sort of a color. So not an amazing demonstration there. If I come over to the Sydney City area, well, there we go. We can see a bit of a different color group there. It's just completely ruined it. There we go. And if I zoom in a bit, that's a bit more of a nicer demonstration. So you can create these kinds of things. People around our sector have done this in the past. You can then, I don't know if you can download this, you can screenshot it if you want, send these kinds of things to your funding bodies. And this is much more of a more interesting way to see the data, to kind of to demonstrate the work that you do. This is the kind of thing that people are starting to like, the raw numbers that we see in reports in class. Probably not that super interesting. This is much more interesting, much more the kind of thing that people are much more interested in these days, because it's so much quicker. So if you're going to sit and look through a whole heap of data, okay, yeah, what's this actually telling me? You can send someone this and like a really short explanation, and it's just a few seconds of their time is all you're taking, and you're telling them something, you're telling them what they want to know, basically, by doing it this way. Okay, so that's the third step of the process, is to upload it to National Map and then do all your whatever you want to do in here. So that's kind of the demonstration of National Map. Okay, I'm seeing, can you change the colors? I don't know, to be honest. Export, remove. I don't think you can. I certainly don't know. Oh, that's their data. Okay. This is our data about the data opacity level. You can do that. I don't think you can. It doesn't look like it. I could try and find out. If you want to send that to us at the help desk, I could try to find out, but it doesn't look like it from what I know. Map settings, I wonder if it's in there. No, I don't think it is. Okay, all right. A good question though. Thank you very much for that question. Okay, great. All right, now I think we're getting pretty close to the end. Okay, yep, I will take you through a few more bits of functionality within these reports. I'll flick back to class. Here we go, my S01 report. This will be a good one. So we've got these buttons up here, and that one is part of this group of buttons. So these are pages. We've got 3 pages in this report because we've broken it down by suburb. There's a whole bunch of them. So what we can do is we can say, I want the next page, or you can go through this way and pick whatever page you want. You can go back through pages, go to the very first page, go to the very end page, or you could use the multi-page mode. Whatever you like, all those options are available to you. If you put it into multi-page mode, this is what you get. It's all listed like that. You can view all the pages at once. Yeah, there you go. Okay, so there's that data. We've seen this. This is zooming in and out. What is that? I don't even know what that is. Highlight editing fields. I don't know what that is, to be honest with you. You can print these out to a piece of paper if you would like. You can print just a single page, or you could print that out. That'll open in PDF. You can print that. I'm just closing that. If you want to print it, there you go. That's how you do it. Either of those buttons, and you can search through this data. I'll just show you how it works. You can click that search. You can go. I'll just go Bilpin, and it will tell you, yes, there's one result. It doesn't really do anything. It doesn't take you to it, or maybe it highlights it. I don't know, but you can search. I've never used that functionality myself, but you can if you like, and that is a piece of functionality that is there for you. So that's basically printing and exporting some more of the more basic functionality that is, excuse me, available for you there. Okay, now I think we are getting pretty close to the end. Yeah, okay. Excuse me again. So as I was saying earlier, I will show you where to find our documentation for all of these reports and more, and I'll show you how to get help. So the first step, if you don't understand the data, or for any reason, if you want to, you can read our class documentation. To do that, you hover over this button. I'm going to hover over it. It says help. It's a little question mark in a circle. Click on that, and that will take you through to our website. And we'll take you directly to the class documentation on our website. Now, once you get here, this is telling you about the help desk. I will come back to that. Now, this is documentation on how to use our documentation, and as this is saying here, I recommend using this navigation menu on the right-hand side of the screen. And this is what we've been looking at today: reporting and accountability. I should click on these things so they can load. Apologies for the slowness of our website; it's not super quick. Anyway, once you come through to reporting and accountability, there's a whole bunch of data in here, a whole bunch of documentation. Sorry, I've got data on the brain. That happens sometimes though. So this is all the documentation on reporting and accountability. This is a pretty expansive set of documents. Our class documentation, it goes pretty deep. Today we're looking at standard reports, so we can click on that, and they're all in there. And they've all got write-ups, and they've all got documentation. So what was going to show you the service report. So the count of services, we'll go and have a look at that one. As I said we would earlier, if you're looking for particular reports, find them in this right hand menu. And that's the report we looked at earlier. And as I was saying, there's some data in there that does trip people up. If you want to know what that is, or if you want to know how it works, come in here. And here's all the information on the report. I'll scroll down. The filters available in it. The catchment stuff that we went through. This is what the report basically looks like. There's the LGAs. Here are the notes. Okay, so this is why the client counts don't add up sometimes. And there's all the information for why those numbers are, or how those numbers are calculated. There's all the information for it there. So if you want to go and have a read of that, please. I don't really have time to go through that right now, unfortunately. There's more information in here. There's quite a bit of information in here about how these reports work. Referrals. So not just so as you go in, you go to service type, set up a service, you turn that into a referral service. Now, even if you did a legal advice or a representation service, you can add a referral to that. So we did a representation service for a client, or we did an advice. We also referred them to wherever. You can add that into the service as well. Class will count both of those. So if you set the service type to referral, or if you add a referral to another service type, it'll count both of them. We've also got a data consistency guide that goes through the service types and what they are and definitions of those, which is set out in the data standards manual, which comes from the AEG. We decided to create a companion document for the DSM. It's the data consistency guide, which we think kind of explains things in a little bit more detail. So go and have a look at that if you would like. So that's kind of the documentation and how it works, and where to find information about reports. If you need help finding stuff in the documentation, please let us know at the help desk. We can send you the links. It's really fine if you want to send us those questions. I'll show you one more thing before I show you how to send questions to the help desk. So we've got, in this menu here, we've got training. I'm going to click on that. I have a bookmark for this, but I want to show you how to do it because you may not have this bookmarked and probably don't. If you click on training, then you get the class training schedule. So if you want to register for the next sessions that we have coming up for the end of the year, here's today's one, there's next week's one, and the week after. The drill down and DIY reports. Those reports have quite a bit more functionality than the standard reports, and we'll be showing you all of that next week, and then we'll go through accountability the week after to wrap up our set of reporting and accountability training sessions. Now, as to the help desk, and if you're trying the reports and you need help with it, and you come to the class documentation and you still can't figure it out, I'm going to click there to go That'll take me to the front page of the class documentation. If you still can't figure it out, come to us at the help desk and ask us about it. We get help desk questions about reports all the time, as I was saying previously. This is a link to the help desk portal. It's not that new anymore, but I'll say it's new. Our new help desk portal. I've just opened that in another tab because I will show you there are a couple of other ways if you don't want to use the portal. There's 2 or 3 different ways to get to us. We've got the email address. This is it, icthelp@clcs.org.au. That will send an email to our help desk and you will get a reply to that email. We also have a phone number, which is not there. If you're looking for the phone number, we have help and support in this menu here. And the phone number and all of the ways to get help from the class help desk are in here. A couple of bits of basic information in there. There's the email address, there's a link to the portal, and here is the phone number if you would like to call us. I can't guarantee you will get through first time, but if you do leave a voicemail, please do leave a voicemail. We do listen to them all and we do respond to all voicemails we do get. So there's the phone number, the email address, and this is the portal. So using the portal, you can keep track of all of your inquiries with us rather than needing to dive into email threads, which is never usually super fun. So this is what the portal looks like. I should let you know that I think you have to have emailed us from your email address at least once to be able to create an account on the portal. Once you've done that and you create an account and you log in, this is what it will look like. You've got this thing up here, requests, all your requests will be in there. I would click on it, but there's no point. I don't have any requests, so we won't see anything in there. So if you want to set up a question with the help desk, you can come in here. We support a couple of other platforms as well. You might just have like a general thing that's not about class, some feedback or a clarification about something that's not about class. You can do that through here as well. If it is about class and it might be a reporting request, help running reports or refining your results, click there. It will then let you type your question. And then you send that through to us. Click create, and then you come into requests to see if you've gotten an answer from the friendly help desk. So I think that about wraps us up, which I'm thinking is pretty good timing, to be honest. Finding documentation, we did that, getting help. I'm not seeing any other questions. I might throw to Alex just really quickly, just to double check, just to be thorough. Any other questions for us that I can handle today, Alex?
Hi, sorry. Yes, there are no other questions. So
Thank you,
all good to
Alex.
go.
Thanks. Great. Thanks very much. And by good to go, that means we're pretty much done. So thanks. Thanks for being part of this session. We really do hope this helps. We know class is a big, hefty system, and there's a whole lot of functionality in there. There's that's kind of a tiny bit of it that we went through today, and it's taken us 60 minutes just to explain that one bit of functionality, the standard reports in class. So yeah, thanks very much. Hope this helps, and enjoy your afternoon. And that will be bye from us at CLC's Australia today.